Well, John Elliot MBE, you're the founder and chairman of eBac. Your company manufactures dehumidifying machines and I think soon to manufacture and sell washing machines. The first time a washing machine manufacturer has done this in the UK for several years. But John, you've just been saying to the audience at the National Manufacturing Debate your firm contentions on what companies should do in the UK to manufacture and who their market should be. What's your conviction there?
I think that we should make more. We've got the capacity, the know-how and the ability to manufacture much more than we currently do and save imports. So we should do that. I mean, interestingly, most of the washing machines are either made in Italy or Turkey. And the cost of shipping it from Italy to the UK is about the same as the labour cost of making it here.
Wow.
So shipping stuff around is always the right thing. Another interesting part on the washing machine project is that we expect, our break-even figure is 50,000 pieces a year. I think we'll sell 100,000 relatively easily, and I think 200,000 will be pushing the limits as a unique brand. But the cost reduction of going from 200,000 pieces to 400,000 pieces is minimal. So the economies of scale aren't relevant. So we wouldn't save a lot by making more once you get to a certain point. Once you get to about 100,000 pieces, the economies of scale aren't that relevant. So there isn't an argument. There are some things where we make very niche products, let's say like bulldozers, then it's probably right to make those for more than one market. But commodities where there's high volumes, like 4 million washing machines in the UK, should be made in the UK, using resources of the UK. There are a lot of people in the UK as well. We've got this illusion that everyone in the UK should be lawyers or doctors or accountants. There are a lot of people who are quite happy doing menial work. And they're happy doing menial work, and we want menial work doing.
Yes, quite.
So why can't we just complete the circle and make it work?
Create an opportunity to keep those.
It won't happen.
Employed,
That's right. It won't happen in what we call free markets. It needs some action.
Yeah. I think a lot of people watching this video who are businessmen would be very intrigued by your projections for the washing machine sales, because I think many people would like to design and make a product that would theoretically have a UK domestic market, but they're just concerned about the numbers. Of course, there's a break-even point. How is it that you're so confident that you'll not only break even at 50,000, but also you'll get up to 100,000 in your first 2 or 3 years?
Well, we've looked at the market in quite a lot of depth, and we've already got experience in the consumer products. We manufacture dehumidifiers. They're a much more niche product, but they're sold in the household, and we've sold over 1 million units in the UK.
Wow.
So we've got 1 million customers. So that's a base anyway, and we'll take a lot of time. We are taking a lot of time to get the design right. And that's everything. It's the cost, it's the price, it's the features. And we've spent a lot of time. In the last 1 or 2 years, we've learned a lot about washing machines. Now, you would think a washing machine's a washing machine, but in fact, it's quite involved. And starting from scratch, we don't have some of the millstones of the people who are producing them for 10 years and got old equipment. So we can go in with a fresh start and compete with them.
That's really interesting, though, on the technology and engineering of the washing machine itself, that you going in with a very, very clean slate has actually been quite liberating, rather than...
Exactly.
You'd expect you would need to go in with a very baseline historical understanding of how washing machines are designed and made to compete with the likes of Hotpoint and Electrolux and Siemens, because those guys have the market share.
That's the downside. We haven't got the experience. But we spent a lot of time. We must have, in the last year or 2 years, looked at taking to pieces 20 washing machines. And we've become paranoid about washing machines, looking about the smaller points and talking to consumers. And it's very, very important in design to understand what customers desire, what they value. And what they value is what they pay for. And that isn't always easy to ascertain, actually. But we spend a lot of time thinking about that, looking at it, and we've got a very clear strategy. We want, number one, it must be reliable. And we're not going to try and be too clever, almost boring. So it's going to be reliable, good features, the right price. That's the focus. Phase 2, then we may be more innovative.
I see. So get the basics right.
Phase 1 is zero risk. Well, we can never have zero risk. Minimal risk.
But Your wider, I mean, this is your business, John, but your wider ethos is that more companies can manufacture commodity goods, things like washing machines, hair dryers. We've seen Dyson do it, obviously, good example with the vacuum cleaners. But these type of household goods can be made and sold in the UK because the economics are there, and also.
I think there are 2 points. We're right. Actually washing machines. We're competing basically with European suppliers. Mm-hmm. If we were making jeans, that's a different. We could not compete. Mm. But we should compete. That's got to be sorted out between governments. That takes government action to sort out our currencies, to get the world trade right. The basic rule, in my opinion, of global trade should be that no country can have a deficit, or a sustainable deficit, or a structural deficit. That should be the number 1 rule. Not whether or not we subsidise something, that's our business. They should leave the countries to run their own affairs, because people do subsidise things, sure. And they're forever battling about them and never solve it. So the only thing that you should say is you can't have a trade deficit. Maybe we should have a currency for trade, and you can only buy what you've sold.
Interesting.
You know, you've got to get that. But you've got to get that in balance. That should be number 1. Number 2, the government doesn't really worry about it. Mm. I brought this up with an economist, a senior economist in one of the clearing banks, and his response was, "It's only 3% of GDP, our deficit, and we've always had one." Well. And that's his attitude.
Good enough?
Absolutely not. And that's why we're in a financial crisis now, because of global imbalances in trade. The money's in the wrong places. Now, we've got around it by using virtual money. I mean, the banks are lending money that doesn't exist.
Yes.
Never mind that they don't have. But that's coming to an end, and we've just got to realise that. Now, I think because the roof isn't falling, we think it's not a problem. It is. And the solution is so simple. I reckon 500,000 people. We've got 2 million unemployed, working in factories on an industrial level, making things, could get rid of our trade deficit. Yeah. And the cost of the country would be less than now.
There's a movement in manufacturing, certainly on the Twitter sphere and on the web, for a movement to make it in Britain. You know, made by British, make it British, only by British. There are so many.
I worry about that, actually.
Accounts. You know what question I'm going to ask
absolutely you. Absolutely right. I worry about that, because we must not hide behind that. We must make sure that our product is desirable. The way we get a product people want to buy, we've got to make a product that people want to buy. Mm. We must not hide behind the British and say, well, any old rubbish will sell that. We must not hide behind that. But it makes sense for the British economy.
But at the same time, if the movement's real, and let's put the quality thing to one side, if people are genuinely more aware and more interested in the provenance of what they're buying,
yes.
Do you think your company is going to take advantage? Is that part of your strategy?
Well, that will only get the first sale. We must make sure the product is good. It's got to be appropriate. Now, I think being British, because there will be slight differences between the way the British wash and the Germans wash and things like that. So we are looking at some features there where we are going to put something in the product which is unique, we think, to the British market. And I can't tell you about that just yet. But it's really about reliability, a good product at the right price in that right segment of the market. Not at the top end, not at the premium products. Sure. It's in the middle there. That's where the volume is. That's where the market is. And we can make a margin on that. But that's because we're competing with Europe. The only way we can compete with the Far East is by government cooperation. We've just got to get our minds round. People in emerging markets should enjoy their fruits of their labour more, and we should be producing more for ourselves. We should be lending money to them, not the other way around. I think it's just immoral, actually, that we as a developed country, along with many others, like the USA and France, we actually have got to borrow money or take goods from the emerging markets more than they take themselves. And that just seems to me it's caused a financial problem, and it's immoral as well.
And it's holding back, perhaps, arguably, progress in terms of social equality in countries like China.
Absolutely. It's wrong in every... But we're locked in, you see, by individuals, businesses and governments with personal agendas. But come the revolution.
Come the revolution. Good man. Well, perhaps the last question, or two in fact. You obviously make dehumidifying machines and washing machines, and they are, as we've discussed, loosely sort of commodity items.
Yes.
White goods.
Consumer products.
Consumer products. Can you specifically name another class of consumer product that you think could be made in the UK in the same model as eBack?
We've already, the UK has come a long way in the last 5 years in terms of car manufacture. We're now self-sufficient for the first time for a while. And that's because we do it on an industrial scale, not because we're clever innovators. There are other domestic products we should be doing as well. We should be making more washing machines and more fridges and more domestic appliances. But the biggie is clothing. And that will only happen with the government sorting out the playing field, making it level. And it's very, very simple. You need to adjust the currency so that the two countries, the two blocks, can trade freely and evenly.
And when we first started speaking, John, you mentioned that perhaps there's an over-obsession in the country at the moment, trying to rebalance desperately with high-value manufacturing, high technology manufacturing, advanced engineering. I mean, given that view, do you think that some of the speeches by people like Dick Elsey at the High Value Manufacturing Catapult...
Yeah, very impressive people, aren't they?
Well, I was going to say that they're impressive, but do you think that there's a danger that we're over-obsessing about this high end?
That's my worry. My worry is we're missing the obvious. We're going for the complicated. It's laudable and very good, but I honestly think we should suspend it for a year and put all those clever people into doing the simple stuff. Making the stuff that we really need and we can definitely sell. And we've got people who can do the work. So we don't need to, we say two things which I think are contradictory. We're very good at high value added goods, but we haven't got enough skilled engineers. So that's a contradiction,
it's unsustainable.
Isn't it? It's a contradiction.
Although I think we're desperately working to try to fix
But we're pushing it, you see. Everything I've heard today is pushing it, trying to push things into it. Look at what the customer wants and let it pull it. I get people phoning me on a regular basis trying to get me to take apprentices on some scheme or other, which someone's doing some scheme for some kind of monetary benefit, and we're trying to push them in. The jobs don't exist.
Right.
What we should do is encourage demand of products that the customer wants, and then we'll pull the apprentices in. We've got to pull them in. We've got to, the purpose of jobs, of business, is to satisfy the customer.
Yes, not the demand for apprentices.
We're pushing it. It's well intended, but it's pushing it. You've got to pull it. Pull it from the customer. What does the customer want? Start from there. And it's washing machines.
Good plug. Well, John Elliot, Chairman of EBAC, thank you very much.
Thank you.